Are you as excited as we are for the newest patch? 2 more days to climb before the patch hits. In this video, we're going to cover the most OP compositions that can carry you to at least Diamond before the meta changes completely again. Make sure to also watch to the end of the video to see some of the upcoming changes in the new patch. And before we begin, check out our amazing cast below in the description. We also plan to have a lot more TFT content in the future, so be prepared. With that said, let's get back into the video. Starting off with number 5 on the list, we have Woodland Druids Assassins. You may have heard the meme in the Twitch community known as the egg roll composition. As its nickname suggests, it's a team that revolves around you hyper rolling. The egg part of the nickname, well, ask around Twitch chatter in the comments below. The composition revolves around a lot of early game units. The first ones you'll be looking out for are Maokai, Ivern, Renekton, Diana, and LeBlanc. We all know how strong Woodland Druids are in the early game. A level 1 Maokai, Ivern, and LeBlanc are able to destroy a random team like a level 2 Vayne and Italia. The synergy is just so powerful. You get an additional unit on the board, and they basically have a Warmogs already equipped. At first you might think, this isn't possible to win the late game since they got nerfed in patch 9.23. Well, nerfs mainly affected their tier 2 versions. So how do we fix the issue? Well, we simply tier 3 them instead. Of all the units you want 3-starred, the biggest strength in this composition is going to be your Renekton. Stack a Phantom Dancer, Iceborne Gauntlet, and a Dragon Claw on him, and you've got yourself the ultimate carry and tank. So make sure you 3-star him. Once you head towards your late game, we only need to be level 7 to complete the composition. Most compositions rely on hyper carries in the back, so it's time to throw in some assassins. We want to put in Qiyana and Kha'Zix to get the desert and assassin synergy. Qiyana's ability is really one of the best CCs in the game, leaving the backline completely stunned for a while. Meanwhile, Kha'Zix is a great damage dealer to boost the power of this composition since most of our units early game are really tanky. The composition is well rounded with a strong early game that can carry you to late game. We have this composition as number 5 on our list because it really does heavily rely on hitting those perfect 3-stars and perfect items on your Renekton. However, this is by far one of the easiest compositions to build, making it friendly for all MMR players. Let's go to composition number 4. We have the BM Nocturne comp. That's Blade Master, not bad-mannered. As the name says, you're going to want a Nocturne with a Blade of the Ruined King to make him into a Blade Master. The full composition has Blade Masters, Assassins, Desert, Cloud, Mystics, and Steel. That's a lot of synergies in one comp. The units are Rek'Sai, Yasuo, Nocturne, Qiyana, Sivir, Janna, Kha'Zix, and Master Yi. This comp is definitely top of the meta as it's a great counter to many compositions that rely on their backline like Predators or Mages. You may see many players build IE or Infinity Edge on their Nocturne. Although this may seem strong early to mid game, it does get countered way too hard by Phantom Dancer. We advise to avoid the item unless it's late game and no Phantom Dancer has been made. Overall though, Assassins will do great by jumping in and annihilating the enemy's backline. And in the front line, Sivir can hack away at the Wardens with the Desert buff. Disarm and Hush are also great items to build on her to provide additional on-hit effects. This is an extremely strong comp that delivers a consistent top 4 placement. It earns our 4th place spot because it can get countered heavily by Phantom Dancer and is very reliant on getting the one and only Golden Spatula, which is a rarer item. On to comp number 3, it's Shadow Infernos. Although Shadow received a nerf in 9.23, they are still insanely strong. The full composition will consist of Shadows, Infernos, Mystics, and Summoners with the units Malzahar, Scion, Kindred, Janna, Annie, Brand, Yorick, and Master Yi. This comp is in our list because every unit is great and their damage output is enormous. Shadows and Infernos have some of the highest damage in the game. However, this comp isn't only aggressive. Summoners and Mystics make this comp tanky as well. Yorick is a great frontliner, and along with Malzahar, they can summon many units to tank for the team. Combined with the Mystic buff, we now have a solid team against all those pesky mages we see. The only weakness of this comp is that it's fairly costly. As you can see, the final composition consists of 4 epics and a legendary. The lowest cost unit is Malzahar, which makes this composition harder to force every single game. Many players with this build tend to aim for a 3-star Kindred, Malzahar, and Scion, so make sure you manage your economy properly. But let's talk about a cheaper and more consistent composition. Moving on to our number 2 spot, it's Ocean Mage. This is a personal favorite of one of our analysts because she spammed it to hit diamond in less than a week. The most popular build is to run 4 Oceans, 2 Mystics, 3 Infernos, 3 Summoners, and 3 Mages. The units are Zyra, Vladimir, Syndra, Nautilus, Annie, Yorick, Brand, Janna, and Nami. Units are found progressively, making it a pretty easy transition. Zyra can carry you throughout the early game, especially with Morellos and Shojin. She's one of the best 1-drops out there, and with Morellonomicon, she can normally secure you an early winning streak. Thresh can fill in for Nami and will give you the Warden synergy as well as a good amount of tankiness for the comp until you can find all of your epics and legendaries. This team does have a proper front line as well as an incredible back line. Moving to the late game, Brand is one of the best units in the game, even with the hotfix. His fireballs will just clear out the back line, so any tier items are just amazing on him to make sure you get his ult out as fast as possible. And just like Shadow Infernos, Annie and Yorick return to this comp to tank up the team. But the strongest unit in this composition that can normally get you #1 spot is Zed. Once you hit a Z2, make sure you have decent items for him, and then you can switch it out with your Yorick. The ability to clone himself with identical items makes it super important for you to stack items on him. A trick we like to use is to have a Thieves' Gloves on Yorick throughout the games. That way if we find a Zed, we can switch over easily without stressing over items that we held forever or selling multiple units. Another reason why this comp is so strong is because you can actually run multiple alternatives. With comps like Woodland Druids, you're kind of doomed if you don't hit your Renekton 3 or you're missing a Maokai. However, with Ocean Mage, you can switch over to Shadow Infernos pretty easily. Or if you can't find 4 Oceans, Mountain Axe is a great placeholder so you can put Talia and Malphite in over Thresh and Vladimir. One of the best options that makes Ocean Mages so great is that you can switch over to 6 Mages and 4 Ocean. It's a lot cheaper and also an easy transition if you can't hit your Annie and Yorick. Although not as consistent as the rest, 6 Mages can deal a lot of damage, knocking your opponents out quickly before they get their power spike. We recommend looking for a Mage cap throughout the carousel to make the transition even easier. But enough about Ocean Mages. In our #1 position, we have Poison Predators. Poison Predators is #1 on our list for one main reason: Singed 2. You thought Z2 was strong? Wait until you see a Morellonomicon on a Singed 2. He'll just run across the map, annihilating everyone without a care in the world. The unit can honestly be placed in any team to carry you to victory. However, he obviously works best in a poison composition so he can delay the ults of the enemy team. Even without Singed, Poison Predators is a decent comp by itself. The primary units are Kog'Maw, Rek'Sai, Skarner, Nocturne, Ashe, Twitch, Doctamundo, and Singed. The full comp becomes Predators, Poison, Steel, Rangers, and Crystal. There are lots of early game units for you to 3-star. Static Shiv and Ludens are great items on your Kog'Maw to proc the Predator synergy, while Rek'Sai and Skarner have the Steel and Crystal synergy to protect your Kog'Maw longer. Poison is an ideal soft counter to many composition as well, since most teams are reliant on their abilities. Poison is the only synergy that affects mana, making them very popular in the meta. The only weakness of this composition is that you can get screwed over if too many people are going for the composition. The strongest power spikes in Poison Predators are hitting your 3 stars and finding a Singed 2. Singed 2 is unfortunately something you can't rely on until the late game, so it's pretty crucial that you get that first power spike. If multiple people are running Poison Predators, chances are most of you won't hit your 3 stars, allowing the composition to destroy your health during the mid game. So the most important lesson here when running Poison Predators is to scout, scout, and scout. That is going to wrap up our top 5 list, but let's not forget some honorable mentions. We also have Light Mystics and Glacial Berserkers that can get you to #1. They're a lot more inconsistent though, and you'll see players who constantly force these comps go from either first place in one game to 8th place in another. Overall, Light Mystics does give a significant power spike early to mid game, but does get countered by Morellos pretty easily. Like other Hyperroll compositions, it's pretty crucial for you to get 3-star units and for you to hit a Yorick too. Light units are normally uncontested, so there's a great chance for you to find the 3 stars, but Yorick is an extremely popular epic, making 6 lights a lot harder to hit. On the other hand, Glacial Berserkers are a bit pricey to build and will usually take a lot of damage during the early to mid game. Olaf is absolutely viable as a carry and can perma-stun the entire team for you. But until you can find him, the composition is quite weak. Switching this comp out with a few variations such as Predators or Electric might be able to help you out more through the early and mid game though. Right now, the most popular meta is Z2 and Singed 2. Fast 8 is now a proper strategy to winning. Get to level 8 and find these legendaries as quickly as you can. Even if you are falling behind, these units by themselves can carry you at least 3 placements higher. A About to hit 6th place? Get your Singe 2 with the Morels, and suddenly you're vying for 1st or 2nd. But enough about these two champions dominating the meta. Let's see what's in store for patch 9.24. We'll cover the entire patch once it's released, but let's give a sneak peek to the new champions. First up, we finally get the loving couple into the arena. Senna and Lucian join us as the new units with a brand new synergy. Senna and Lucian introduce a new class called Soulbound, where one cannot die until both units die. You heard that right. For example, Senna gets killed off first. She will continue fighting. She'll be untargetable and will not disappear until Lucian also dies. This does sound pretty OP, and we're actually wondering what new compositions will come out of this couple and synergy joining us next patch. But let's review the units themselves more. Senna is a 2-cost Shadow Soulbound unit. Her ability is Piercing Darkness. She'll fire a beam to the furthest ally. All allies through the beam receive 25, 45, 65 extra magic damage on hit, while enemies in the beam will also be damaged by 50, 100, and 150. This works a bit like Nami's ability, but without the CC. For a low-cost unit, she seems to be a great support that adds significant damage overall. On the other hand, Lucian is a 4-cost Light Soulbound unit. We finally get a new carry for the Light comp, and his ability synergizes extremely well with Senna's. Lucian's ult is called The Culling, where he fires his auto attack 4 times quicker for 4 sections in one direction. It also applies on hit effects. Lastly is the champion that we believe will be extremely OP in the meta, Amumu. We're already afraid of the legendaries Singed and Zed, but let's add one more to the list. Amumu is a 5-cost unit who's an Inferno Warden, but the most fearsome part about him is his ability, Curse of the Sad Mummy. It's a massive AoE stun that deals 250, 500, and 1,337 damage for 1.5 seconds. At tier 1, the radius is only 2 hexes, which should be about half of the enemy team, but at tier 2, the radius becomes 3 hexes, which will pretty much stun everyone. We expect Inferno comps to rise significantly in the meta when the patch launches in just 2 days. And that's it for today's meta. Hope you guys enjoy the composition that helped us get to Diamond and above. Which comp are you going to spam? And which champ are you looking forward to the most in patch 9.24? Let us know in the comments below. We are very excited about releasing more TFT content with big news to come soon, so be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video.